It seems to me that one challenge that companies have a lot is that there's a disconnect between the big idea that maybe the senior team has or that someone has in the organization and maybe sometimes the message that the marketing team has put together. Then there's what sales is saying, and then there's what customer service says. And these things don't line up very well. One reason they don't is because there's a lot of presumption that goes on. There's a lot of feeling that everyone understands what the mission is and how it's supposed to be talked about and what's supposed to happen. Stories get really messed up and convoluted, especially when people don't fully understand the intentions behind them, especially when the language doesn't line up just so. There's a lot of opportunity to make confusion happen in the mix. So in my mind, I think one of the things that gets really important is that if you're going to bring a message out to the people that you're trying to reach, it's got to be really clearly understood inside and out. And I think that a lot of times we think of this work as after the fact or implied or not as important as we think it is. And of course, that's the most important work, right? The work of making sure that the customer that we're hoping to serve understands what we're getting at and that they understand who we are and that they're in the right place, that customer's in the right place. This doesn't just happen. It's not like, you just sprinkle some pixie dust and everything just goes that way. There's deliberate action that has to happen. One thing I've noticed is that people are really struggling with brevity and clarity. People are really, really struggling to kind of encapsulate their message and make sure that people understand what they're going for at all times. And in that process, what happens is we kind of go all over the place, right? And what then comes out of this is that everything feels a little disjointed, a little misunderstood. I've watched certain consumer marketing campaigns flounder in that way because what I see is that they're just sort of grabbing at everything. They're like, we're everything to everybody. And that doesn't work. And there are companies that do it well, don't get me wrong. I really appreciate, for instance, what Microsoft did with their gaming platform. Microsoft's gaming entity inside their organization has all kinds of messages that really line up nicely, that speak at one part to women in design and development, that speak to people with disabilities. And the whole idea is that everybody plays. And it's a really great campaign for the fact that it's not just marketing, it's a real sense of that's what we all want to be part of. And I think that there's a lot of other examples that we can find out there. But is your company one of those examples? I want to be able to help you with that. So I'm working on this in 2020. I'm working on this beyond. I'm working on helping you build real stories that connect and sell. And if you want to talk more about that, you can always drop me a line, chris@chrisbrogan.com. And I will be covering topics that relate to this over the next little while. Hope you find that interesting.